Hello. Nigel here. Welcome to another Reiterate video. In this video, we will learn about net neutrality. What is, why we need it, and how it affects internet users in the UK and USA.
Not the owner of this cable, not anybody can restrict or control where you can go with the internet. You can go to absolutely any site.
Stick around to understand why it is important to keep the internet free and open and not allow big companies to dictate how things should be done. As usual, we have put together a selection of informative YouTube videos from really great YouTubers to bring you information in one helpful package. Enjoy.
Good afternoon. This is Andy Lipman at the MIT Media Lab broadcasting to you. I know you're beleaguered by reading the news and finding all of the disastrous things that are going on in the world, and you don't need me to heap one more on top of it, but I'm going to, because there's one that's really important to you that's getting buried in all of the other things that are bombarding you every day in the news and in the media. And this one is net neutrality. Now, you heard about it 3 years ago from John Oliver, and he mobilized 300,000 or more of you to inundate the FCC with calls and comments because he convinced you that it really mattered to you. Well, I'm going to channel him and convince you again that this really matters to you. But first, in order to do that, let me give you a brief explanation of what net neutrality is so you'll understand why you have to care about it. The way to think about it is, think about your home and imagine that you have cable coming into your home. Okay? And I don't care who provides you that cable, because this is not going to be a diatribe against any particular cable provider. It's just structural. So you've got cable coming into your home. So think of that cable as this big pipe, but inside that big pipe, there's two kinds of pathways. You can think of it as a highway with two lanes. I don't care. They all work, but you've got this cable coming in with two pathways. One of those pathways is cable television, and that's how you get your channels, okay? And that's the bulk of the cable, as it turns out. The other cable that's coming into your home is your internet connection. They're packaged in the same wire, and they're virtual, but there's effectively two wires coming into your home. Now let's look at what makes them different. In the cable wire, the person who owns the cable TV system decides what channels are on that wire. They have complete discretion over those channels within some limits. They have to carry the local broadcasters and so on and so forth, but largely they have discretion as to what's on there. If they decide that they want to allow the home shopping network to be on that cable and not allow QVC, then it doesn't matter whether you like QVC more than HSN or not. That's their decision, and they can make it. In fact, if they have their own shopping network, the owner of this cable, that is, they can refuse to carry both HSN and QVC. It's entirely theirs. It's up to them to do what they want. The other wire that comes into your house is the internet wire. Now, the internet wire, sometimes it's filled to capacity, sometimes it's free, sometimes it's fast, sometimes it's slow, but that wire goes two ways, and you can go anywhere on that wire. And what John Oliver 3 years ago convinced you to call the FCC, and they responded and did, was to ensure that on that internet wire, no one, not the owner of this cable, not anybody, can restrict or control where you can go with the internet. You can go to absolutely any site. You can go to internet version of HSN, you can go to the internet version of QVC. No one can throttle those or discriminate between them or eliminate them. Now, let's peer into the future a little bit, because sooner or later that cable wire is going to be more than just watching television channels. Because it turns out that the type of bits by which you get those television channels are actually pretty much the same as the type of bits that flow through the internet. It's called IP, Internet Protocol. Right now, when you watch something like Netflix, for example, you're watching it on the internet wire. And that's an IP exchange of information. It's internet protocol. But your TV channels are also delivered by IP. They're not on the internet, but they happen to be using the same electrical mechanism to deliver those bits to you. So technically, it'd be pretty easy for Netflix to move itself over there by an agreement with the cable company and use this, call it fast lane, to deliver Netflix to you in a way that wouldn't interfere with your internet access. They could, that's fine. Now the people who are trying to repeal net neutrality are trying to say, we're going to eliminate this wire and we're going to transform the wire that goes into your home to one that is in effect entirely a cable wire, which means they can control where those bits go. They, just like HSN and QVC, they can decide that Netflix is allowed in that highway, and they can decide that Netflix is not allowed in that highway. Now that raises a couple of important questions. And the first question that it raises, and the most important question, is, what's wrong with what we have today? Most people like to watch television on their cable channel. I know a lot of you are called cord cutters and you watch TV on the internet channel. That's fine too. You can watch TV here, you can go to any website that you want, you can go shopping, you can talk to friends, you can use Facebook if you want, even on this internet channel. You can even do the same thing there. There's nothing wrong with having both of these. So this one, we won the battle, and it's neutral 2 years ago. So the first question you have to ask is, what's wrong with what we have today? Have people stopped investing in the internet? Have they stopped investing in cable? Is the industry stalled? Are you throttled? Are you stymied? Is anything wrong? No, there's nothing wrong. And we have this sort of fundamental rule in engineering. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So question one is, why are we trying to fix what isn't even broken? Question two, if we left the situation as it was, would there be any impediment towards building any kind of future that anybody wants, including the owners of this cable and the rest of you, who mostly want freedom of access, I hope, and I suspect, okay? And the answer to that is no as well. Because just as I said, there's no reason why Netflix can't buy its way into this fast cable lane-owned channel and pay some additional fee for it, that would be fine. Netflix could do that. But a competitor, a startup, an innovator, an inventor could still implement their new novel service in the internet wire. And the future would be fine. It would be okay. There's nothing wrong with what goes wrong with that picture, except one thing. And that is, as more and more services migrate into this fast lane, and you could think of lots of them. You could think, for example, of medical services, where you really do want prioritized access so that if something goes wrong with your heart monitor, those bits get through in a guaranteed and quick way. Or you can think of a fire alarm in your house, where if there's a fire, you want that fire alarm to be in a fast lane to be able to get back to the fire department. You don't want it to potentially be slower because your sister or friend or roommate is listening to Spotify and using up the network channel. So you want that fast lane to exist. As more and more services move into that fast lane, the danger that we face is that the internet lane will get smaller and smaller to make room for the fast, prioritized services. And that's scary, because at that point, the internet itself could become vestigial. It could become the home for leftover bits, and all the main stuff goes through the highly paid fat wire. And if that's what happens, then the startups, the innovators, and the inventors gradually get squeezed and throttled to where there's almost no invention left. So how do we fix it? We leave things almost the way they are, but we add one additional rule. And that rule is, if you're going to make your fast lane bigger and more capacious to carry more and more services, then what you have to do is you have to also build the internet lane up at the same rate. So the internet lane is guaranteed to thrive and prosper at the same rate as these are. So rather than either or, where you either have a neutral internet or you have a cable TV system, why not think that what digital and internet allows you to do is both and? You can have your future and you can eat it too. Now, everything that I said is pretty easy to get, right? You want faster, unthrottled, unsqueezed internet to grow at the same rate that the premium channels and premium highways can grow. But what happens when there is no wire? What happens in the world of wireless? Because most of us live most of our lives in that wireless world as well. Wireless is not so easy to expand. It's not so easy to expand in the paid, high-priced lane, and it's not so easy to expand in the other lane. So everything that I've said applies directly to the wired internet, but we get a little complicated in the wireless internet. I don't have an answer for that. That's where we need innovation. And guess what? When there's a need for innovation, that gives us the chance to rise to the occasion. We have inventions in this lab and elsewhere that can make wireless grow in a way that allows accommodation for all of that. But what we don't want to do is we don't want to let either the wired or the wireless operators off the hook and say, you don't have to invent and you don't have to innovate in order to build the future that I hope we all agree we want, but instead you have to actually not just cast it in the concrete of economics, but cast it into the environment of invention. And I guarantee you that we can add that invention to the world of wireless the same way that we can simply do it in the world of wired. We just need to make sure that we make the playing field demand that.
Hey, what's up guys? Jerry here, aka Barnacules, and today we're going to be talking about net neutrality and what you need to know about it and why we need to fight to keep it in place. And I'm going to explain why in this video. But first we have to start out with why net neutrality exists and what it is. So net neutrality, the big, huge, broad overview is net neutrality protects us from tyrannical ISPs, basically your internet service provider. They're the people that prevent Comcast and Frontier and Wave and all of those other like CenturyTel, all those big conglomerated ISPs from determining which websites that we can visit and how fast those websites can go between us and our internet connection. So net neutrality prevents them from governing that. Actually, what it does is it puts a set of rules in place that make them act more like a utility, like your electric company, for instance, than a cable company. Now, the reason why this is critically important is because there were a lot of ISPs that were abusing their power before net neutrality went into effect. They were doing stuff like cutting off services, not making Skype reachable. Some of the wireless ISPs like Verizon and stuff on the cell phone were blocking services like Skype and FaceTime in favor of their own services. Netflix actually has been severely throttled back in those days so that people are like, why is it skipping? Why can't I watch in 1080p? And it actually had nothing to do with Netflix. It had to do with the ISPs throttling it because they wanted you to buy their cable packages and watch their digital television. Well, net neutrality came along during the Obama administration. It's been in effect for about 3 years. And basically, it's a set of rules and guidelines under something called Title II that basically holds ISPs responsible as a utility, meaning that they can provide internet to a customer, but they can't stipulate or regulate what the customer does with that internet. For instance, if you buy a 50 megabit connection from your internet provider, you have 50 megabit everywhere that you can get 50 megabit. You can go to any site you want. You can use virtual private networks. If you want to go and do this, you can do this. If you want to go and do that, you can go do that. And because it's a utility, much like electricity, you pay for the service and then you use it how you see fit. Well, the problem is if net neutrality goes away and those ISPs are no longer governed as a utility, those companies can actually do stuff like, you know what, we only want Netflix to have 1 megabit of bandwidth, so you can only watch 240p from Netflix. That'll encourage customers for Comcast to basically get their digital cable package and watch their television shows because they're going to be higher fidelity than if they did that. It's also going to empower the mobile carriers. They're going to disable Skype. They're going to disable Discord. They're going to disable all of the services that allow you to talk over the internet with your friend's voice for free because they're going to want you to use their service and burn up your minutes talking. And they're going to want you to use their conference service. You kind of see where I'm going with this? So net neutrality was something that was put in place to make internet service providers accountable like utilities companies. Now, let me give you an example here that might make it a little bit clearer. Imagine that you pay for electricity. Now, the way electricity works is you pay a certain amount per kilowatt per month to use that electricity. Just like with the internet, you pay a certain amount per gigabyte, because most of the connections have a cap. Some are unlimited, but they're never really truly unlimited. But let's just say, you have 200 gigabytes a month you can download for $50. Well, look at it from an electric standpoint. Your electric company sells you so many kilowatts for, $150 a month. Well, it doesn't matter if you plug in a vacuum cleaner. It doesn't matter if you plug in a blow dryer. It doesn't matter if you plug in a vibrator.
Ladies.
It doesn't matter if you plug in a TV or a blender or even a microwave. They don't care. They sold you that power, and that power is yours to do with what you want. Now, what if the electric company wasn't run like a utility? So they didn't have any kind of things in place that said that they can't hurt their customers or benefit from gouging their customers. Well, here's what could happen. The electric company could say, well, you can only plug in vacuums that use a certain amount of power unless you buy our vacuum. If you buy our vacuum, then you can use the full 15 amps that comes out of the outlet. That's American voltage. I know you guys over in the UK and everything have completely different voltage systems, but bear with me on this analogy. You can't plug in blenders. They've blocked blenders. You can plug in a microwave, but unless it's their approved microwave that makes them money, it will only run at 100 watts, so it'll take 30 minutes to cook a bean burrito. You kind of see where I'm going with this? Net neutrality is what allows you to buy a service from an ISP and use that service how you see fit. Without net neutrality, it allows them to sell you that service and then highly regulate that service so they can dictate what websites you go to, what applications you use, what services you use, and what's even scarier is they can choose to block things. If they don't want you to go to Skype at all, they can just block it. If they don't want you to use a VPN to try to sneak around the rules, they just block the VPN. They block those IPs. Today, because of net neutrality, that is illegal, and the FCC will take action against them. If net neutrality goes away, there is nothing stopping them to do this. Now, you may have heard that we've already won the battle against net neutrality. Earlier last year, they already tried to put up a proposal to take it away, and it was heavily pushed by the ISPs themselves, because the only people that benefit from taking net neutrality offline is the ISPs themselves, because it allows them to basically gouge their customers. Now, here's a big problem that we have, is because people think we've already defeated that because we shot it down once, that it's not a big deal again. Well, that's unfortunately not true. Our illustrious leader, Mr. President Trump, has elected a new chairman to the FCC, a guy named Ajit Pai. Now, Ajit Pai has been an opponent to net neutrality and has wanted to neutralize it from day one. And now Trump has put him in the perfect position to do it, and he's already issued a proposal to start undoing everything, not little bits and pieces, everything, to reset net neutrality back to zero, which means it's exactly like it was before it ever went into effect, giving total power back to the ISPs. Now, he claims that he does this because he wants he wants a free internet. He wants a free internet that will prosper for everybody. But the problem is, what he's saying he wants and what he's doing are two different things. Now, he'll claim all day long that the main reason why we need to get rid of net neutrality is because ISPs aren't investing into the infrastructure. They're not growing the infrastructure. They're not making the internet faster. They're not making the internet better, which is a
bullshit lie.
And I'm going to tell you why. Ask yourself this. Who is your internet provider? Now ask yourself another question. What other internet providers do you have in your area that you can select from? And I'm not talking about cable and DSL. I'm talking about multiple cable providers and multiple DSL providers. Let me guess, you don't have a choice, do you? You actually don't have a choice, and that is because ISPs have already become monopolies. They've already shown that they will manipulate the law and make deals with the cities so that they are the exclusive people selling internet. Case in point, my little internet provider I have in my town has an exclusive 10-year agreement with my city saying that I can only use their shitty internet, which has a maximum of 250 megabit down and 10 megabit up. Now, some of you guys might be saying, wow, that's really fast. Well, take a step back. Comcast already has everything in place. All they have to do is flip a switch, and I can get a gigabit down and 250 up for half the price of what I'm paying now if they could just sell in this market. But they can't, because the infrastructure is already owned by that ISP, and that ISP is actively investing in upgrading that infrastructure too, which I'm happy to hear, because I do want some faster internet. Now, Ajit is saying that the companies aren't investing in the infrastructure, which is BS. You're seeing more and more people able to get gigabit. You're seeing more and more people get higher speed internet connections. Of course they're going to invest in the infrastructure, because they already have monopolies with the cities to basically force customers to use their internet or nothing. Now, Ajit claims that there hasn't been a lot of problems in the past, and he uses a lot of double talk. He avoids a lot of questions, and he uses a lot of general terminology. But basically, he's trying to say that there's never been an incident where an ISP has really abused its power, per se, even before the net neutrality went into effect, which is actually a bullshit lie because net neutrality needed to go into effect to fix many issues. And here, let me go ahead and tell you about just a couple of them here. So before net neutrality went into effect, these are just a couple of the things that happened. In 2005, Madison River Communications blocked VoIP services, and the FCC had to put a stop to it. So the FCC had to step in and actually put a stop to it because there was no net neutrality there to prevent them from doing it in the first place. Okay, Comcast denied access to all peer-to-peer services without notifying customers. So they just decided that no, we don't like BitTorrent, we don't like peer-to-peer services, we're just going to stop all of them. Net neutrality, if it was in effect in 2005, would have stopped that. AT&T blocked Skype and every other VoIP service because they didn't like their competition for their cell phone services. That was in 2007. They didn't get stopped until net neutrality. When net neutrality went online, it kicked them in the nuts and they couldn't do that anymore. Metro PCS tried to block all streaming except for YouTube. They actually sued the FCC over this. That was in 2011. Now, of course, they can't do that because of net neutrality. It protects us. AT&T, Sprint, Verizon all blocked access to tethering apps in the Android marketplace because they didn't want you to be able to use your bandwidth on another device other than the cell phone. That's crap. Verizon demanded the Google block tethering apps on Android because it let the owners avoid a $20 tethering fee. And there was a $1.25 million suit in favor of the plaintiffs, suing them for this. So they won. Luckily, they won. But again, if net neutrality was in effect, it wouldn't have even been a legal argument. It would have just been they broke the law. It's open and shut. AT&T tried to block access to FaceTime unless customers paid more money. So there you have an extortion situation where they're like, well, they're using FaceTime, so let's see if we can get some more money from that, even though it's a service that's just using internet bandwidth that you, the customer, already paid for as a utility. Verizon stated that the only thing stopping them from favoring some content providers over other providers were the net neutrality rules. So Verizon is actually on the record publicly speaking that the only thing preventing them from locking down services is net neutrality.
Curse that net neutrality. Curse it. Curse it to death.
And then in 2017, you have Time Warner Cable refused to upgrade their lines in order to get more money out of Riot Games, creators of League of Legends, and Netflix. So you can see that these companies are actually doing a lot of nefarious things. They're already trying to abuse their power to extort more money from you for a service that you already paid for. Do you think that's right? I personally don't think that's right, and most people don't. And that's why net neutrality is so important. But the problem is, so many people don't know what it is. That's why I'm making this video, because there's so many people that are arguing with me saying, we need to get rid of net neutrality, because they thought that's what people were saying. They thought that net neutrality was a bad thing. I don't know if it has to do with the verbiage of it, but a lot of them didn't realize that what they wanted was net neutrality. They didn't want it abolished, but they were fighting for its abolishment because they were confused. Now, the issue has been confused so much by the ISPs themselves and the media that it's really hard for you to know which side to be on. Well, I'm going to clear that up for you right now. If you like a free internet, if you like an internet where you can do whatever you want with the bandwidth that you have, and that you pay for that bandwidth, and you pay for that modem, and you pay for that service, and you should be able to do whatever you goddamn well want to with it, then you are pro net neutrality, and you need to do something about it. Now, if you happen to be one of the few people that think that net neutrality needs to go away because you trust the ISPs to do the right thing, please go do a little research and find out that the ISPs were not doing the right thing, and that's the whole reason that net neutrality went into effect in the first place. Now, a couple of other facts that I want to drop on you right now is Ajit Pai, the new chair of the FCC. Guess who put him in the chair position? Trump did. Trump put him in that position because Trump wants to undo everything Obama did. Doesn't matter if it was good, doesn't matter if it was bad, doesn't matter. He just wants to abolish anything that Obama was responsible for because he's just got a hardcore boner to just kill anything that Obama did. He doesn't care about the ramifications. He just wants, so he put Ajit in power because Ajit was one of the few people that actually was challenging this and wanted to fight it. And another piece of evidence that you need to know, or information rather, that you need to know, is that Ajit used to be a lawyer for Verizon. Ajit used to actually be a lawyer for Verizon. Do you really think that that's the person who should be the chairman of the FCC? We honestly didn't really get a choice. I mean, Trump put him there because Trump wanted to abolish what Obama wanted to do, but what I don't even think Trump realizes is this could even potentially kill his access to the internet as he knows it today. And we all know that our illustrious leader Trump likes to just post anything that's on his mind, Kofifi and everything, and attacking people and bullying and even screwing with nuclear powers while he's sitting on the toilet via Twitter. And that is his free use of the internet. And now he's appointed somebody and he's trying to kill something that's in direct opposition to that. Now, keep in mind, not really, because Trump has an infinite amount of money, which means he can pay for every single service. He can pay to even create his own ISP if he wanted to. He's that 1%er guy that literally these laws don't even affect him, right? So he doesn't care about the fallout out of it, but you and I do. We do care about it. We want net neutrality, guys. Net neutrality allows the FCC to step in and regulate internet service providers. The internet service providers aren't hurting for money. They got tons of money. They're still charging me $100 a month for my shitty little internet connection, and they're charging everybody else $100 a month too. They are getting plenty of money. Net neutrality is the only thing preventing them from nickel and diming us and gouging us and selling us plans where if you want to use Facebook, you got to pay an extra $5 a month. If you want to use Netflix, you got to pay an extra $10 a month. You're going to start seeing websites showing up as channels and packages, like when you get your cable, your cable packages. They always come with 10 channels you don't watch and one channel that you want. You're going to start seeing websites bundled together and services like Skype and Discord bundled together. Guys, you do not want that. Trust me. And you can do your own research. Do not believe me, guys. Don't go,
Oh God, this fat guy on the internet's full of shit.
Go do your own research and come to your own conclusions, but please do not just make assumptions. Go out and look at it, because a lot of the shit that I didn't even think that was that bad, once I went and looked at it, it was. And after the conversation I had on Morning Coffee this morning on my live stream over on Twitch, it was abundantly apparent that people didn't know which side to be on, and they didn't really know what net neutrality was. And that's, again, why I'm making this video. Now, you guys are probably asking yourself, what can I do sitting here on my ass to preserve net neutrality and ensure that it doesn't get just stolen out from underneath us?
Well, that's a good question.
And the answer to that question is not to let these little proposals slip in under the radar because we think that it's a non-issue anymore. We need to hit it head on. The best way to do that, guys, is you can contact the FCC directly at 1-800-CALL-FCC. Call them up and tell them with your own voice. Leave them a message. Tell them what you think about net neutrality and why you think it needs to continue to exist. Also, tweet the @FCC and go ahead and tweet Ajit too at AjitPieFCC. And last but not least, you can go to battleforthenet.com. There's like battleforthenet.com, and they have a form that you can fill out that will automatically generate a mail on your behalf and send it off to Congress and the FCC. Guys, we have to do this. We absolutely have to do this. This is one of the most important videos that I've ever made. You guys know, if you've been watching my channel, I make a lot of videos on advocacy for privacy, especially against Microsoft and their spying in Windows 10 and companies that take advantage of us and our information. This trumps all of that. If I had to pick the order of importance, I would say net neutrality is dead number one. We cannot let net neutrality go away. We cannot afford to have it go away. If net neutrality goes away, we lose the internet as we know it today. Now, Ajit will argue all day long that the internet was just fine before net neutrality came along. But that couldn't be further from the truth. Do your own investigation. The internet was headed in a bad place. People were not getting the services they wanted to. People were having bandwidth issues. Companies were having problems growing. Ajit will have you believe that those companies actually say that they want net neutrality, but in realism, they would do better without it. No, companies like Netflix, companies like Facebook, all these big companies are coming forward in support of net neutrality, including Google. These companies know that it is important to have the internet be a fair playing field. It's important for the internet not to have fast lanes that are defined by the internet provider that in turn create slower lanes that are just gridlock traffic to everything else. It's not fair. Think about it, guys. Do you want an ISP where if 10% of all the people on that ISP go visit a new fancy website because it's really cool? Now they figure that out, they record that data and go, oh wow, everybody's going to that URL. We're going to go ahead and throttle that down to 1 kilobyte a second and issue a notice saying that it's $10 a month if you guys want to get that site at full bandwidth. Guys, you pay for your internet, you should get your internet. If you pay for 50 megabit, you should get 50 megabit. If you pay for 500 megabit, you should get 500 megabit. If net neutrality goes away, I guarantee you we will never get it back.
We will never get it back.
Anyways, guys, this is completely a bad move. Ajit is trying to screw everybody, and now he's the chairperson of our FCC. I understand the chairperson of FCC needs to understand law, but not in the context of trying to hurt us as consumers to make things better for the businesses. They need to hold the businesses liable and keep them honest. And they're already making tons of money. You guys can go do the research yourself. Their earnings are up every single year. Their infrastructures are growing every single year. There is absolutely no reason for net neutrality to go away. And if you look at every one of his arguments, he has yet to say a single thing that's guaranteed to happen in our favor. If net neutrality goes away, his entire argument is based on we need to trust the ISPs to do the right thing. I think the ISPs will do the right thing. We need to get rid of net neutrality so that the ISPs are less regulated. Well, if the ISPs don't need to screw us over and bend us over a barrel, then why is net neutrality a problem for them, and why are they trying to get rid of it? Ask me that. It's like if you want to get a cookie out of the cookie jar, you don't go, hey, Mom, could you just walk away and not watch us? I promise I'm not going to grab a cookie, but I really don't want you watching me while I'm near the cookie jar.
You know you're going to grab that cookie.
I'm never going to ask you guys for more than I'm asking you for right now, and that is protect our rights. If we do not have a free and open internet where everybody can go the same speed and everybody has equal access to everything, our children's futures is going to suck. And plus, all the porn sites are going to go out of business. That ain't going to be any fun.
With net neutrality rules dead in America, thanks to Ajit Pai, the Republican Party, and giant donors like Comcast, Americans will be looking forward to slower speeds, blocked sites, throttles, and costly fast lanes, perhaps within the next few years. It's not going to happen all at once, obviously, but these things will likely happen in a longer period of time, in a longer time frame. Now, in Europe, interestingly enough, they happen to be going in the opposite direction. According to The Guardian, the British government has made a decision where it is said that it will now guarantee a legal right to high-speed internet for all homes and businesses in the UK by the year 2020. That is not very far away. Now, the UK's Government of Digital Culture, Media and Sport has committed to giving homes and businesses, regardless of location, that's very important, the right to demand internet speeds of at least 10 megabits per second, The Guardian reported on Wednesday. Now, that's not super fast, but it's also not super slow either. Now, the UK's proposed regulation will move to close the internet gaps between cities and rural areas. So while they're trying to expand broadband here in America, we're actually restricting it. We're making sure that, hey, if you want municipal broadband in Tennessee, for example, or Kentucky, sorry, you're not going to do that. We're going to give you one option, and if broadband doesn't reach in your area, sad day for you. Yeah, that's what's going on, man. But now, the head of the department, right, Digital Minister Matt Hancock, which, by the way, that's kind of cool. I want to be a digital minister. He told BBC Radio 4 that the new provision would not mean that all homes would automatically receive faster speeds, but of course you would have at least the legal right to demand it. So basically what you would have to do is you'd be like, I don't have fast internet here. The private companies don't service this area with high-speed internet. So I invoke my right to demand that they come out here, and the companies are like, well, we have to. It's government order, so we're going to have to build out that infrastructure to actually offer broadband in that area since it has been demanded by enough people. So the companies cannot refuse. Now, he said, quote, it's about having the right to demand it. It's an on-demand program. If you don't go on the internet and aren't interested, then you won't phone up and demand this. So basically he's saying, look, if you don't want fast internet, okay, you don't have to have it. But if you do want it, then yes, you have a right to call us up and say, I demand to have internet. Okay, great. Now, the UK government will affect all internet service providers, requiring them to provide faster internet to anybody who demands it. So that's fairly clear. Now, BT is one of their biggest internet providers. Did tell the government that, oh, no, why do you have to legislate it into law when we will voluntarily do this? It sounds a lot like our cable companies or ISPs here in America. No, you don't have to legislate us on net neutrality. No, we volunteer to do everything that net neutrality promises. We promise not to slow down or block or throttle. No, so you don't need net neutrality. You don't have to put these rules into law. Well, then why are you arguing against it if you're already going to do it? You should just be like, okay, yeah, we plan on doing that anyway. That's fine. No, it's because they don't actually want to do it. So here's the British government's response. No. You will have to do it. It is a legal it's a legal requirement. We reject your plea, your argument. You know why? It's because they actually have a stronger government than we do. I know. They're saying, and BT is like, no, you don't have to do this, okay? Like, you don't have to make it a requirement. The British government's like, did I stutter? It is a requirement. You must do this. God, I would love to live in a place where we actually have a government that stands up to the corporations. We do not have that here. In America, the government says, oh, hey, look, we would like to make this a requirement. And the corporations basically go, don't care. Oh, by the way, here's giant fat sacks of cash. And the government says, you have convinced me. We will not make this a requirement after all. We believe you. We believe that you have the best interest of the consumer in mind. This is why America, by the way, is going backwards instead of forwards, instead of having progress. The UK, for example, the UK has universal healthcare, right? They actually have more affordable college education. It's not free like it used to be, right? They've got their own issues with privatization going on, and they're absolutely not perfect. No country actually is, but the whole point is that they're not nearly as bad as what we have in the United States of America at this point. Okay, the UK has a stronger government than we do here in America. We have an incredibly weak, corrupt government, and while it may not be up to the standards of other countries, it certainly is better than what we have in the United States. Now, anyway, so as far as net neutrality is concerned, now this is interesting, right? Net neutrality in Europe and the UK is currently enacted under the European Union regulations. So they have net neutrality. We do not. Now, what does that mean after Brexit? I have no idea. My guess is, based on the push to require high-speed internet to be installed in the event that people demand it, and the fact that they have far more competition in the markets, I'm thinking they probably have or will enact their own set of net neutrality regulations. That's my guess. Now, you might be fooled into thinking that people of Europe, especially in the UK, but in other places, since they have these net neutrality regulations, stronger governments, well, you might be fooled into thinking that you're paying, or that they're probably paying far more for their internet access. Well, in the UK, in order to get broadband comparable to what is offered in the United States, how much does it cost? You can pay as little for broadband as $6 a month. Now, this doesn't mean it's going to be super fast. It's going to be faster than dial-up, right? But $6 for what? 10 megabits per second download? Not bad. Not bad. You can't even get dial-up for that amount of money per month. Now, if you want broadband bundled with phone and television, the average cost is about 40 euros. That translates into about $56. Again, that's a bundle. A bundle. Now, my cable bill, for example, I pay $93 for 60 megabit per second download. And it's far slower on the upload, by the way. I think I have like a 12 megabit upload speed. That's disastrous. Why am I paying twice as much for comparable speed? It doesn't make any sense. Our internet speeds rank far below all other European countries, even countries like Greece, who are on the slower end of Europe. So we have slower and more expensive internet than Greece. Come on. You know who has some of the fastest internet in the world? That would be Sweden. Of course. The Nordic countries are always kicking our ass and everything. The UK is ranked 11th in speed. And look, they've had a lot of problems. They're actually starting to catch up now. And how are they catching up? They're actually using government regulation. I know, shock, horror. They have government rules. They have government that actually forces competition. Now, in over half of America, one of our biggest problems with ISPs is that they don't have any competition. So they can charge whatever they want, and they can have speeds that are incredibly slow. And it's because, again, we don't have a government that comes in and forces us to actually have competition. Now, conservatives think that progressives want government to solve every problem. They think that we believe that government solves every single problem. No, we don't think that it solves every single problem. A lot of us do believe in a market that is regulated, and all regulations is just a framework of rules that make sure that that these companies can't screw over their customers, right? So, but in this case, that's exactly what we need. Now, thanks to the UK government, there is actually some healthy competition, and that's actually better for consumers. Okay. Now, the internet there is faster and it is cheaper, while ours, with no government interference and no regulations, happens to be super slow and far more expensive. And now the government also has decided to guarantee broadband to everybody, while huge parts of our country do not have options for broadband because it's too far out of their way. No, it'd be too expensive to bring broadband to this rural community in Alabama. So you're stuck with 56K. You're stuck with dial-up. Sorry, it's too expensive for us. Well, if they were in the UK, or if we had UK's rules, those companies would have to go out there anyway. And again, we would have more competition because the government could force competition. So if anything makes the case that we need stronger regulations, that we actually do need a government that's representative of the will of the people, it would be situations like this. When we compare ourselves to other countries who are doing far better when it comes to internet access, there's no way we can compete because we've got the rules set up in the corporation's favor. We've got to change that. And we've got to, in my opinion, make sure that declare that that broadband is a right. Access to information is a right, a human right.